So I want to tell you about doing government differently in Abu Dhabi. I joined the Early Childhood Authority just over 2 years ago. This was day one. I wore a tie the entire first week, and then I let go of the ties because they're not really comfortable. March 2024, first day in a new role. Joining a government organization. I had never worked for a government organization besides universities, both in Abu Dhabi and Australia. Working in early childhood, which is something very close to me. I'm a father of 2 daughters, and it's something that probably my greatest project, always learning, always being a designer. Our role focused on innovation and impact. It was quite an ambitious vision to come in and create an innovation team, evolve an existing innovation team, and train this capability in-house. So I'm going to explain to you a little bit about what that means. And it was a huge responsibility right from day one. I was shown the existing innovation services done by an external consultancy who came in, did research, spent a lot of time, money, resources, and came up with 4 services. And I thought, look, I'm not the user, you know. As designers, when someone shows us an app and says, what do you think? I'm like, I don't know, maybe it's good for your user. I'm not your user, so who am I to critique your app, right? We hate that when someone says, look at my startup, just give me some words of wisdom. So I said, look, who uses it? Let's do some testing, let's do some usability and understand, can they even find it? To me personally, on face value, Method to the Madness, Empathy Engine, IdeaWorks, Test Zone, these sounds like great, you know, branding of what we do, but they didn't make a lot of sense to me. And if I as a designer can't decipher what that means, what luck does someone who is not necessarily a designer in their title? So there were a lot of questions I couldn't ignore. What is this service in plain language? When should our customers, for lack of a better word, our internal colleagues, engage with it? What do we actually practically do as an innovation team? And how do we create the impact we want to? It was the first time in my career I had the title of innovation. And previously I had some ideas on what that means, different to product design or interaction or visual or service design, which I had previously worked in. I'm not going to talk too much about myself. My background is on the strategic side of design, in service design, research. You know a lot of the rest, and it'll be 7 years, but a total of 9.5, including Abu Dhabi. So almost 10 years in the UAE now. And work with startups as well as an advisor, and now co-founder with Chris of HCD Pro. So a little bit about where I work. A lot of you probably haven't heard of the Early Childhood Authority. We promote optimal child development and well-being policies, programs for children aged 0 to 8, and parenting. It's not only about challenging cases, it's also about everyone. What does the healthy, happy child look like? That's our North Star. How do we create that around health, nutrition, every aspect of the child? A lot of other countries don't have this. We're very fortunate in the UAE, and in Abu Dhabi especially. They have an education department, they have a health department, but there's no one entity looking at child-centered design, parent-centered design. It's quite unique, it's quite special. Chris and I are lucky. We're very blessed. And we work across government entities. We have a very small team. The name of our team is Athar, which in Arabic means impact, and that's always what we're looking to do. It's not about creating design for the sake of it or design theater, but how can we create impact as fast as possible, but still significant and scientifically design-worthy of what we do. And we're building capability, and we're iterating our capability. Our services, which we've changed, are continuously evolving. Our motto is simplify to amplify. Everything is complex. Every consultant, and we work with a lot of them, external ones, love the complexity and love for things to take much longer, years, right? Because that's their North Star. But our North Star is the opposite. How do we remove the external need for consultants? How do we build, train our internal capability so they don't even need us, right? So what I did was I started with evidence, not opinions. I did some lean usability testing. I asked some of the staff members to come in. Can you even find our hub where we have all of our services as an internal innovation design team? Not one out of the 12 people I spoke to could find it. I think it's on the intranet. Where's the intranet? How do I get there? The intranet is not a regularly used thing. And that was my first answer to my hypothesis. No one uses what we spent a lot of money creating. And also, how can we simplify these things? Initially, again, it's a hypothesis because I hadn't spent a lot of time there yet. And the last thing was, what are the patterns I'm noticing on programs that I'm working on? What's missing that exists in the wider tech or product or private sector world, or even in academia or maybe other governments, that we can bring to our own team? So we came up with 3 services. And we called it what it is on the tin. Even that, to some people, is like, oh, what does that mean? But we tried to, simplify. Customer research and testing. It does include things like journey framework or service design, but nobody knows what service design means, so let's not call it that. Journeys, people have an idea. There's been a lot of that done. Idea framing and setting metrics, which is product thinking. I'll show you a quick example of that shortly. Let's make sure we are aligned to the strategic direction. Why are we doing a project? How is it aligned to why we should be here? It's relevant to every organization. I have an idea, great, but we're going this way. Are you aware of that? Have you thought about that? We often forget that when we're ideating or we're just copying the competition or whoever. And idea generation, rapid prototyping. And something that Chris and I are very passionate about, and I won't steal too much of his thunder, is storytelling. We've done a lot of that. We've iterated, we've brought in experts, and we've even created, which I'll mention shortly, agents to help you to do this. So we reframed the offering. We redid the entire hub. And what we do is threefold. We work on large programs. We don't do everything, but we do some of the work. We do training. And we create guides that are available for anyone to use, right? Those are our 3 services. We also work with a few other entities, right? Now, I don't have time. There's only 10 minutes, and I've made this talk 7 because I like to add bits and pieces, as I know myself. So I'm only going to give you one example of something I'm very passionate about. What I brought from the product world is product thinking. It's not just design thinking. Innovation is also product thinking. What does that mean? We need clarity before we commit to an idea. In most organizations, private, public, otherwise, I'm sure all of us do it. We go from an idea, the current state, to a pilot. I have an idea, let's build it. Build it and they will come. We all know that doesn't work. And sadly, our engineering friends, most of them aren't here. If you are, I apologize ahead. They would rather build it, fail, and a year later iterate and say, oh, but we got to the right answer. We don't have time for research. We don't have time to validate. That validation would have saved you millions. But you never stop to count those dollars and cents or dirhams and say, hang on, if I just did a little bit of validation, I wouldn't have got to the perfect answer, but it's about de-risking what we're doing, right? If we remove the risk by talking to our target audience, understanding their goals, needs, behaviors, observing them, right? We don't ask them what they want, we observe. And an amazing lady called Teresa Torres wrote a book called Continuous Discovery Habits. I highly recommend it to all of you. It's not brand new. It's what a lot of product companies, that's their Bible, their Quran, if you will. And she talks about being clear on what your goal is. So the early childhood authority, what's our goal as an organization? What's the customer outcome? Now we put customer in quotes because that means different things to different people, and it's very hard to sometimes agree. Now obviously in government, you don't call it a customer. We were quite revolutionary to introduce this word, and it took a lot of debate. But a beneficiary or a parent or a child doesn't encapsulate all of our customers. So we stuck with this word for now. once we've understood what that outcome needs to look like, we need to look at many opportunities, not jump straight to idea. What are the opportunities? How might we solve X? And based on each one of them, let's create lots of ideas and test those ideas. If we're going to do a pilot, and we're doing this, right? We've got amazing advisors who are doing this work. Let's run 3 different pilots, and let's then create a hybrid. Maybe neither one of them is the best one. Let's do testing. And this obviously applies to everything that we do. And find that optimal solution so we can then release something that's been tested, validated, hopefully meets the needs, the goals of whoever we are designing for. And that doesn't stop, right? Which is great. We're working on initiatives, and the government's doing incredible things here. And they continue to learn. A lot of it is not necessarily known, but it's happening. And we've run workshops, we've brought the voice of fathers to the table, and we've met incredible people. We've done testing on the field with some of our staff. Really, really great work. And what that taught us is don't overinvest before learning. Make sure success is explicit. Measure what matters. Don't just measure everything. And then improve, iterate quickly. And one little thing I'm going to touch on, but as I said, Chris is going to talk about this, is the power of storytelling. It's not just there as a vanity or a visual wow moment. It creates a shared responsibility with your audience. It's really powerful. We've run large workshops with our teams, with many entities, both government and non-government, and the power of that first story didn't just resonate, but it created something special. Now, I'm not going to say what that is because I'm stealing Chris's talk. Sorry, Chris. So we've also, in the last, 6 to 12 months, started looking and experimenting, and this is that opportunity solution tree. It's something I cut out of the longer deck, into, okay, I've created a guide and a piece of paper, but you're not using it. How do I get you to engage with us, to use this? Very simple. What's the buzzword? What's everyone pushing hard? It's AI. And this is great because it's forcing us to evolve, to iterate. So we've created 2 agents so far. We've got a 3rd one that's soon to be announced. One around storytelling, another one around discovery. So planning research, creating an interview guide, and then uploading all your research and creating a report out of that, a discovery guide. And we're testing these, and we're iterating. We have, our audience is simple. It's all of our colleagues. We do an alpha study. We ask 10 people to use it for a month, and then we do usability testing. What did you like? What did you dislike? How would you improve it? We need more onboarding. People expect an amazing Abu Dhabi or Dubai banquet from AI. It's going to do everything for me. Where's my slide deck? I just want to press a button and answer a few things. No, it's not. You need to critically think. How do we embed that thinking with our audience? And how do we shape what the AI is doing and not doing? And making sure it's responsible, it's etc. Everything Elizabeth spoke about. So what can you apply tomorrow? Use discovery. Make sure you're doing that research. Human in the loop. Reduce your assumptions. Use the opportunity solution tree, which I showed. Look up Teresa Torres. Read a chapter or the book. Or just ask AI to summarize the book for you. Use experiments to learn before you scale. Don't just scale quickly. And storytelling to create that alignment with your teams, with yourself. Simplify your message. What are we doing? Why are we doing it? What's the impact? What are we trying to change? And keep it simple. It's really hard, but work on keeping it simple. Get to as simple as it can be. Not too simple, but just right. I didn't do this in rehearsal, Chris. The slide is too small and I can't read the words, so I need to keep looking at the screen. We didn't want to do that. Okay, I'm on the home stretch now. Doing things differently starts the same everywhere, whether you're in government, in startup, in the private sector. The pattern is familiar. Complex problems, competing incentives, pressure to move fast. What separates motion from progress is not speed, or ambition or technology, it's clarity. Clarity about the problem, clarity about the outcome, clarity about what actually matters. And through the same disciplines that I've spoken about, Or you iterate, you evolve them. They apply in every sector. Discover before you decide, frame before you commit, experiment before you scale, and then use stories to make responsibility shared. If we want different outcomes, we must work differently at the moments that matter. Focus on those moments. So check out my new portfolio, which Chris helped me to do. Thank you, Chris, because that's, I'm no visual designer. I haven't announced it to the world yet, but it's nice. No better time like the present. It's still a work in progress, so I'd love your feedback. And definitely, let's connect on LinkedIn. And thank you, everybody.
Do we have